Diego?
Well, for me, it's freezing. It's like 48 degrees. So, it's all relative.
There's that. Well, it's actually not that beautiful here. It's cloudy and rainy, and we got the storm coming in. And the clouds are coming down lower and lower, which makes me think of our episode, The Sky Is Not Falling.
I love it.
I know. So
let's do it.
Everybody, we're going to dive right in. We ran our November numbers, analyzing our micro markets. And again, for me, that's Chapel Hill. And for Jefi, that's a couple key zip codes in La Mesa, correct?
That's correct. The two La Mesa zip codes. Mm-hmm.
Yep, the two La Mesa zip codes. And super interesting what we discovered. Getting in, and really, if you're kind of netted out, no market's perfect, but when we look at these numbers, things are pretty darn good, aren't they?
They are. And it's interesting. I want to tell a really quick story. So I'm a cyclist. Actually, oh my God, I think that's the first time I've ever called myself that. That's kind of cool.
You are.
Anyway, had a brush with COVID, totally messed with my lungs, out on the bike, and I'm riding along next to one of my husband's friends, pedal, 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 pedal. And I can barely breathe. And he's like, so Jefi, how's the market? Blah, 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 which is what everybody asks. And I had just pulled these numbers with you for the month over month from 22, 21, 20, and 19. And when I started telling him about this, he's like, wait, what? What are you talking about? That's what? Wait. And I'm all, look, anything that you read in the newspaper, you need to call me. And then I looked at him and said, I can't say anything else to you. My lungs are about to explode. You just keep on writing. So it was so funny because I had so much to tell him, but I couldn't even get it out of my mouth.
I know. That's so fun. And as a cyclist too, I can relate to that story.
I know. I'm like, when we do this podcast,
to
chat with you, but there's no freaking way.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go over some of our key findings on this. But Jefi, if I was going to ask you, why it matters from what we found to our audience, what's the biggest takeaway there?
I would just say buy now and refi. So buy and refi is a great to say it, or marry the house, date the rate. But buy and then refi. We are in a situation right now, and when I'm talking, and I need this to be really clear, I'm talking about my market, and you're talking about your market. So there's other markets that might be different. So this isn't a global thing, but we're talking about our micro markets. So San Diego, Chapel Hill. We are just down 2% in sales, median sales price from month 11 from 21 through month 11, 22. That's nothing. And to this morning, when I pulled all my other numbers, we have 1.2 months of supply.
Yeah.
1.2. It's nothing. So the supply and the demand is still driving these prices. So I have this sweet young buyers that want to buy a home. And they're like, Jefi, I just think we should wait. I think we should wait the next few years. And I'm like, no, you shouldn't. Because the trajectory that we're on right now is we still don't have enough homes for the amount of buyers. You're going to be buying a home at 5% more than you could today. The interest rate is not guaranteed for any time and date, but it is always fluctuating. So you can always buy and refi. Yeah. So that was kind of my big guttural takeaway.
Yeah. I think for me too, it was really take the time to run the numbers on your specific market, just like you alluded to.
Yeah.
You got to know the facts and dig in, because if you kind of rely on the media generalities, you're not doing your clients service. And it really jumps out when you start to look at your numbers. So with that, we're gonna go in and kind of give our report and what we found in our markets, and these are the type of things agents that are listening to this should be pulling for theirs.
There we go.
So hey, big picture. Total homes are down compared to this time last year in terms of the number of homes sold.
Correct.
But supply is remaining super tight in my market. It's when we ran this, the supply was 1.5 months, and I checked today. So this is like a couple of weeks later. It's a month.
Yeah.
It's gone down, significantly. We have like 40 homes on the market. So I'm like, man, we're coming into the year. There's nothing on the shelf.
Right. There is nothing on the shelf. And this is a great talk track for people who are your sellers who are like, December's a terrible time to list. No, it's not. Because you have too many buyers out there looking and not enough homes. If you have your home out there, it'll get sold. Yeah. So having that kind of ability to have that conversation is very important.
So I'm going to give some of the good news here that we found in this. So again, in my market, the median home sales price for November was 3% over list. So things were still selling over list price. That doesn't seem to be the message you're getting from the news outlets, right? So it was higher. Went and looked at price reductions. Only 9.5% of the sales of the homes sold had price reductions. That's telling me the market is sorting this out.
Correct.
I think it was around 34% the previous month. And it's like, okay, market's kind of figuring out where things need to be priced. And then average days on market was 14 days. Now, true, that's up from the auction houses we were running, at like 4 days, but 14 days historically, that's really low still.
I know. It's very low. So for me, I pulled my numbers just slightly different, which is beautiful. And this is something for all of you guys to take on board too. Ed loves percentages. I love direct numbers. So there's a few different things here. So I'm going to work it backwards. Our average days on market for solds just this last week was 24. That's up from 18. That's because we just don't have enough homes for sale. Our sales price year over year is 96% of last year. So again, and that comes out to being $15,000 actually different. That's nothing.
Not a lot. Yeah.
Right. That's not a lot at all. So the other thing was I looked at 2020 sold price versus 2022, 708,000 was our average or our median home price in 2020, which was the year of chaos. And 2022 is 820. So we are still up over $100,000 from 2020 for median. So, these numbers really mean something to your consumer, to your buyers and sellers. So I definitely would talk about them. Median list price for us has stayed the same for the last month. That's $915. That's the median number. And our days on market for active homes with, by the way, only 2 price reductions last week. So our agents are finding the norm now too, which is lovely. It is 56 days.
Got it. Yeah. So it's working out. It's interesting. Our prices year over year are still holding. So we're up 13%. So that's kind of typical. We don't get as the highs aren't as high and the lows aren't as low.
Yeah.
But hey, we're not all Pollyannish on this. We do see some areas of concern. And we want to talk about those, like what do we need to be looking at on the horizon? Is it a thunderstorm rolling in, or is it just a nice little puffy cloud? So we want to keep our eyes on that. And I think wouldn't you say the biggest area of concern? You like that one?
I do. I love that one.
I think the biggest area is sales volume, the number of homes being sold. That's the one we kind of need to keep our eyes clear on. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, if you don't have enough homes to sell, you're going to have less consumer activity. Plus, our home pricing is so high that when the interest rates get to a certain number, our buying pool shrinks significantly. So we are above the sweet spot in that. Once we see interest rates start coming down a bit, that surge will come back in. So in my market, I see us, especially with the low inventory holding the prices. I see this as just like, this is a mist. This isn't even rain.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
Right. And I also think that I can very confidently say that if you're going to buy real estate in San Diego and you're planning on a 10-year hold, you can't go wrong because markets shift and change all the time. So, and we don't have enough homes. So I feel very confident talking about that.
Yeah, same here. We want to keep an eye on it. But again, as of today, with a month of supply and 6 months being balanced,
right,
we'd have to dump a lot of homes on for things to get wacky. Now, if you're in a market that has a lot of new construction coming, you can look at your pipeline and see what's coming on. That's a different story. Jefi and I aren't in those kind of markets. So they're more mature markets, a little more stable. So I think it's a great way to just educate clients. And getting back to it, it's like, good luck trying to time the market around the rate. When you find the right home, buy it, and then be looking to refi. That's going to be the key.
Exactly.
And its prices will be going up over the next few years, no doubt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Brian Buffini did his, what does he call it? State of the Union?
It's bold predictions.
Bold predictions. And I have so much respect for him because he's just such a numbers guy, and he really surrounds himself with amazing analysts and great people. And he mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he's saying over the next 2 years, we're looking at a 5% increase as a country in sales price.
That's right.
Is that correct? Yeah.
I think we're basically down, nationwide going to be down 1% next year.
Right.
And then I believe it was 6% the following year up. So a net of 5 up.
Yeah. Right.
So you want to get in while the getting is good. And then as rates come down, and they will, then you want to refi.
Right.
Okay.
That's good.
Well, fantastic.
All right.
So bottom line, keep the eye on supply.
Keep the eye on supply. And the sky is not falling, people.